Hello everyone, this is Sarfraz from Aristotle Prep and we are looking at question 57 from the OG13 RC chapter. In case you haven't understood this passage properly, which is very likely, please watch the video for question 56 in which I explain the passage in great detail, especially in which I explain the connection between the two paragraphs because it is that connection which will now take you to the answer to this question. If you do not understand that connection, you will never ever get to the answer on this particular question. The question says, the passage suggests that, an inference question, if the criteria discussed in lines 10 to 20, which is those three criteria in the first paragraph, so if the criteria discussed in lines 10 to 20 were the only criteria for establishing a reservation's water rights, which of the following would be true? Now again, we will make a prediction because we've understood the passage. And we know what is the connection between the first and the second paragraph. The first paragraph gives you three reasons. The second gives you a fourth additional reason. The question says if those three were the only criteria, then the fourth criteria would not be possible. That's basically the answer. There would be no Rio Grande Pueblos which would have water reserved for it. It would not be possible. So A says, the water rights of the inhabitants of the Fort Belknap Indian Reservation would not take precedence over those of other citizens. No, they would still take precedence because they fall under those three criteria. Fort Belknap falls under one of those three criteria only. B says, reservation established before 1848 would be judged to have no water rights. It is absolutely irrelevant. The date has nothing to do with water rights in this case. C says, there would be no legal basis for the water rights of the Rio Grande Pueblos. That is the answer. Rio Grande Pueblos example comes in the fourth point. If the fourth point itself is not possible, then C has to be the answer. There would be no legal basis for these guys. So you see, you could only get to C because you were clear that the first paragraph gives you 3 points, the second gives you a fourth point. D says, reservations other than American Indian reservations could not be created absolutely outside the scope of the passage. The passage is limited to American Indian reservations. E says, treaties establishing reservations would have to mention water rights explicitly in order to reserve water for a particular purpose. Why would they? Even under Winter's doctrine, that Fort Belknap Reservation did not mention water rights. So it doesn't make sense. So C would be the answer to the question. Becomes very easy when you've understood the passage like this. Otherwise, it's a very, very tricky question. People go with everything except for C.